And now I want to bring in someone by the name of Rick Devine, who is the founder of executive recruiting firm Devine Capital Partners. Rick, you're joining us from San Francisco. I'm very glad you're here. You are the man that introduced Steve Jobs to Tim Cook, who will now be his successor. A pretty timely introduction, I would say.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. What prompted you to introduce Steve Jobs to Tim Cook? What was the catalyst?
Well, at the time in 1998, we were actually doing two searches. One was for a CEO for Apple when Steve was the interim CEO. He was actually quite successful at Pixar at the time, and his company Next had been acquired by the prior CEO of Apple, and Steve was left as the interim CEO. We were doing a search for the CEO and for a head of manufacturing operations, which was the search I led, which landed Tim.
And describe Tim, if you can, if for those of us who've never met Tim Cook, have never sat down with him, what is it about Tim Cook that you thought would be a fit with Steve Jobs?
Well, I think the story of Steve Jobs and Tim Cook is really the story of a strong partnership in personalities. Steve being the creative or emotional, inventor type of personality, and Tim being somewhat just the opposite, the stoic, very internal, operational excellence partner. So the two of them combined made for this amazing team. And Steve's instincts are very good with people, and I really believe, I was in the room with him when he first met him. He just knew immediately that this was going to be a great partnership.
Cory?
Hey Rick, is Tim Cook smart?
Yes, he's incredibly.
Rick, when you're with Tim Cook, does he seem like a super smart guy?
Yes, he's got a master's in computer science. He went to Auburn. He's very intelligent, very organized, very thoughtful. And when you meet Tim, you understand you're dealing with a highly capable intellect, and also a person who's very well grounded. He's also quite fit and athletic. Steve liked that about him. He was a very intense cyclist at the time, and I remember Steve selling him on the great cycling roads around Palo Alto. As Steve went into, I want this guy, and now I'm going to sell him on why he's going to join Apple.
All right, Rick Devine, thank you for your perspective, a unique perspective, having introduced Tim Cook to Steve Jobs.